Hi everybody, this is Mark Geary for Geek Pride, and this is my review for Halo 5. Right, first up, spoiler alert. If you haven't played Halo 5, you haven't played the campaign, then stop watching, because I'm going to go into a lot of depth in this, and I may ruin the campaign for you. So, just a warning, don't keep on watching, don't get annoyed at Matt, because I've ruined it for you. Now I'm watching you. Alright. So, first off, Halo 5 is not the game that it's made out to be. It's not even the game that, say, reviewers would think it is or would lead you to believe it is. This is my humble opinion, of course. It's not a 10. It's not a 9. It's not even an 8. It's a 7 at best. And that hurts me. You know, giving it a 7, which effectively I'm going to, I'll just tell you now, this is going to be a 3.5 out of 5, which is a 7. And that hurts me because Halo is one of my favourite game franchises, as a lot of you will know, and I just think that we have been slightly cheated, I suppose is the word for it. We've been slightly cheated from what we were expecting and what we got. Now, you do get some nice graphics, there's some nice multiplayer modes, and there's an increase in scale. But it's failed to deliver on what was implied and what was promised in all the advertising and all the teasers, or even in some of the podcasts, which were pretty amazing. And to compound this, they have taken one of the greatest aspects in the Halo franchise, 4-way split screen, and completely cut it out. They've also taken away LAN play, so you can't play with your mates anymore unless you do it online. Now, they've done this because they wanted to increase the FPS, so they want to have bigger scale and they want to have more going on, but to be honest, your average player isn't really going to notice that the FPS is at 60 FPS. And to be honest, when it comes to graphics, there's some of the previous games in Halo Reach and even Halo 4 where there's parts which look a lot better in those games with a lower FPS than they did in Halo 5, and so I think it's such a massive waste. The latter I found out before the game came out, and I did feel slightly cheated and slightly annoyed, but I thought I'd carry on with it. It is Halo after all. Halo for me is two things. It is the campaign, which I will talk about later, and it's also getting a bunch of mates around, having a few beers, some cheesy poofs, getting 4 TVs, 4 Xboxes, and just running into the next room and laughing at your down foes. Now, for 14 years now, it has been the same with every incarnation of the game. It has been my house, 4 TVs, 4 Xboxes, and the coveted Halo trophy. Now, you can obviously play online, and you could have a bunch of your mates, and I've done it before, where you get a bunch of guys from Geek Pride and we all play Halo, but it's just not the same as playing with your mates in the same house, and it's hard to sort of emphasize what a big blow this is to the game. People think, oh, you can just play with your mates. It's not the same. You want that interaction in person. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind Halo Online, and I do like playing it with my mates, and I will talk about it later, but I'm not a huge multiplayer online FPS sort of guy, and I like to play with my friends, not a group of whacks. Now, whacks are win at all costs, and you get the smack-talking, racist, pubescents, people whose interest is singular glory and not team play. And for me, it's all about team play. I like winning, but I like winning with a team. That's why I kind of like the Battlefield series, because they're generally a bit more team-orientated. I am not the worst Halo player in the world. The award goes to my sister, who spends most of her time looking at the floor, looking at the ceiling and screaming as she spins around in a circle. But I do like a good win, but I like a win amongst friends, and I like a win with people who can enjoy the humour, enjoy the laugh, and who are similar levels of play. Taking away split screen and saying it wasn't going to have its own patch was nearly a deal breaker for me. If it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to make it through the campaign and see if, the Chief saved Cortana, I don't think I would have bought it. Halo is in my blood, and has been since its first changed the face of first-person shooters in 2001, and I have loyally followed, fought, and bled for 14 years now, fighting with the Master Chief and Cortana the whole way. Obviously with stints, like when you had a Reach and ODST. Having played through all the games from start to finish, and having been through all the ups and downs as if they were my own experiences, I was really looking forward to jumping into the Chief's boots once more, and searching for Cortana, his, or our faithful AI, friend, and a weird sort of super soldier AI way, maybe something even more. The Chief and Cortana have a complex relationship, but one that has progressed and evolved over the years, which culminated in a truly touching final cutscene at the end of Halo 4.
We go together.
It's already done.
I am not leaving you here.
John.
Chief and Cortana, for all intents and purposes, love each other. Be it a deep friendship or be it more, they have been through and sacrificed so much. And from what we're being shown by initial trailers, it seemed as if the Chief would go through anything, even, apparently, turning his back on the UNSC, and would be hunted down by Halo's newest protagonist, Spartan Locke. But this was not the case. What the advertising campaign and what all the proliferal podcasts and material promised implied is two completely different things. You are promised a choice between the new company man Spartan Locke and the Chief himself. Do you fight forward and disobey orders to try and find Cortana, or do you follow the party line and bring the Chief in? It is implied there will be options, tough choices, things to be discussed. But apart from a small bit of insubordination from the Chief when he's told to go back to the Infinity, and a small fracas with Spartan Locke, that's it. Why is he a traitor? Like he said in all of the adverts and the podcasts, why is he reported dead? And why the frick can you only play the Master Chief in 3 levels? I understand that they wanted to bring in a new protagonist with Locke, add some depth to the series, which I'm not adverse to. As I've said before, I really enjoyed Halo Reach, and I could get behind the Noble Team and Noble 6. But with the Halo 5 campaign, I just felt a bit meh. I don't care about Locke or his team, and I didn't get enough of Master Chief and his team to really care about them either. With such a heart-wrenching end to Halo 4, what I was left with in 5 was confusion and annoyance. Something I could probably go on about for hours, but will refrain from as I am mindful this review is probably going to be long enough. In short, I didn't get what I feel I wanted, what I feel I was promised, or what I feel I deserved as a faithful Halo fanboy, player, franchise follower. This is all very reminiscent of my views on the Destiny campaign, and ironically I have a feeling that all the changes we have seen and the way the game has panned out are a reaction to just that. Bungie, after all, created Halo, and with one swift thrust of their developer's sword could kill it by superior gameplay. Now, this obviously has spooked 343, and what we were left with was a reactionary title that seems to have lost its way somewhat. Okay, now I know I have spent a long time having a bit of a rant about this game, and I feel it is justified based on all the time and money I've spent on the franchise over the years. But despite the previous, it isn't a bad game. It's just annoying that we didn't get what we were promised. Anyway, here is what I quite liked about the game outside of my fanboy rage. The campaign maps are all pretty huge, have lots of enemies and various ways you can traverse around them to get to your objectives. This is great for flanking enemies and gives your team a chance to space out and not be directed down small corridors. This being said, if you're playing with AI companions and not real players, be ready to be frustrated. Despite the fact that you can sort of direct them around using your D-pad, they are pretty thick and will die a lot, especially in higher difficulties. Something that is doubly annoying because you have the revive option now, but you need a teammate to do that, and half the time they're not really paying attention and just sort of looking around themselves, or the second time they run directly to you and get mown down by a Promethean Knight, and then that's it for you as well. AI in Halo has never been great anyway, to be honest, but you're relying on them to actually help you. It does become very frustrating. Big tip, no matter how good you think you are, unless you're willing to die a lot and go through the game at a snail's pace, do not jump into Legendary straight away. It took me 3 days to get through about 4 missions on Legendary, and it took me the same amount of time to complete the game on Heroic, which is only one step down, but the difference is massive. I have a feeling that Legendary is very much a domain of the co-op, because your AI teammates do not revive you very much, and they die. And then they die again. And then they die again. Now, another great thing about the campaign, and will hopefully add a bit of replayability into it, is the reintroduction of skulls and intel gathering. This will have you wandering around all over the map trying to find things to collect. While you're there, you can take in some of the breathtaking scenery, because it is pretty epic and does give you a sense of scale. So what's gone and what's still there? Well, on top of the aforementioned teammates, revivals and commands, there are a few additionals, extras in the game that are worthy of note. First and foremost, there is the clamber button. Gone are the days that you try to jump onto a ledge, miss and fall to your doom. Now, as long as you're close to the edge, you press the jump button and you'll clamber up. And there are lots of boxes and crates and ledges for you to do this on. On top of this, you also have a boost and a dodge button, which gives you a blast for your jump pack to either push you slightly further or to dodge out of the way of attacks. Melee combat still has its generic and satisfying gun butt to the back of the head and assassinations, but it also has a new thing, a boosted shoulder charge that lets you crash through some scenery, and a ground and pound option which lets you jump into the air, hover there for a while, and then come down with your fists of fury. Weapons are all pretty much standard fare as you would get in the previous games like in Halo 4, but all weapons have had a bit of a boost when it comes down to their power, and your shields and health do not last as long as they used to, especially with sort of weapons like battle rifles. Conversely, enemies also go down a lot quicker than they used to, but there's a lot more of them now. Enemies, as stated, are many, and again pretty much what you get from Halo 4, though there are some additions to the Promethean Knights who need to have their armour knocked off first before you can shoot them from behind. And then you also have the Warden bosses, who are a huge challenge. They're pretty much invulnerable to all attacks, and you have to get them from behind. Finally, and a small thing I know, but there doesn't seem to be any fall damage anymore, which is good for a guy like me who spends most of his time falling off things to his death. Note though, if you fall off the bottom of the map, or you land in water, you will die, because, you know, Spartans can't swim. I won't go back into the lack of split screen and LAN capability, but multiplayer, despite my protestations, is still pretty cool. Although, again, going back to what I said earlier, you can see that it is definitely a reactionary development in the Warzone maps, which are very Destiny in ways, replete with NPCs and world bosses. There are two types of multiplayer mode: Arena and Warzone. Arena is pretty much what you would expect from a Halo multiplayer experience, with small maps, some familiar ones, weapons lying around specific areas, with power weapons popping up from time to time. There's different game types: SWAT, King of the Hill, Slayer, Capture the Flag, etc. Warzone, on the other hand, is kind of like big team battle, with 12v12 on huge maps, with two game types, one with NPCs and enemies a la Destiny, and one that looks more recognisable from previous Halo excursions, with an assault defend mechanic. Both are rather addictive, to be honest, to play, and both use the new rec system. The rec system, this is a new add-on to the game. Now, experience and levelling up has been a Halo series for a while now, giving you new armour, upgrades, and new weapon loadouts. Where the rec system differs is that you build up rec points that allow you to buy rewards. These come in the form of decks of cards that give you permanent additions like armor, stances, weapon skins, and assassinations. And there's one-offs as well, which give you boosts to rec points, to give you additional weapons, vehicles, speed, and things like that. Now, you don't have to actually just earn these things. 343, because they're nice chaps like that, allow you to buy rec points. And to be honest, you can spend a lot of money buying rec points. Not that I've spent a lot of money. Now, a good point about rec points, and the game in general, I guess, is like, unlike Call of Duty and such games where you unlock weapons and you keep them when you level up, Halo Warzones, you have to gain points each game to let you earn the right to use them, and can only use specific things based on the in-game level. This is not the overall level you earn, just the map one that lets you use the rec cards, as sort of complicated as it sounds. To start with, I wasn't overly keen on this, but as has always been the case in Halo games, everyone is on a par, and you don't have guys who spend a lot of time playing the game and then going online and beating everybody because they got superior weapons. In each multiplayer game in Halo, you have to earn the right to use those games, and therefore you can get into a multiplayer game and not get ganked straight away because somebody's got better weapons than you. So there we have it, Halo 5. It was a game that I was excited for. It was a game that I was looking forward to playing, but it was a game that did not deliver on what I wanted it to. The Halo fanboy in me wanted to give it a 5 out of 5, but the embittered franchise faithful and customer can't really let it slide that it was a pretty deceptive marketing campaign. And finally, the fact that it's taken out one of the greatest things that this franchise has ever had, the 4-way split screen and LAN play. Did the 60 frames a second matter? Not really to me. You know, there was some nice graphics, but I could dealt with the 30 frames per second. Could I have lived with 30 FPS and split screen? You're damn right I could. So here are some general thoughts of mine for the game. I think they should have either stuck with the traitor or not theme, and they should have let you choose between one team or another, or at least cut the missions down into two distinctive sections, equal sections, so you could play one or the other. Or with regards to the reaction to Destiny, why not have a spin-off game altogether along the same lines with 4-player teams and MMORPG style, hunting for the truth, using Spartan fire teams. Sure, it's more a brazen copy of Destiny, but we all kind of know that's the angle Warzone was going for anyway. Anyway, all in all, and as much as it pains me to do this, I'm going to have to give Halo 5 a slightly above average 3.5 out of 5. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to leave a comment in the section, give us a thumbs up, give us your opinion, and give us a share and a like.